Hare Krishna dear devotees, please join us for another class on Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we will be studying Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, Chapter 59. The killing of the demon Naraka, also known as Bhaumasura. Please join us for the Jai Radha Mata prayers. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Go. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayam Udiryet
ततो जयमुदीर्ये
Shavatam Swakatha Krishna
श्रौतां स्वकथा कृष्ण
Punya Shama Kirtanaha
पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तन
Hridayantasto He Bhadrani
हृदयन्तस्तो भद्राणि
Vidunote Suhasatam
विदुनोति सहस्रताम्
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
Bhagavate Uttam Shloke
भगवतेरुत्तम श्लोके
Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki.
भक्तिर्भक्ति नष्टकी
Hare Krishna. So please join us today in the study of Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, chapter 59, the killing of the demon Narka, also known as Narkasura and Bhaumasura. And today we will be discussing about the inconceivable potencies of Lord Krishna and the blessings that we get. So please join us in the recitation of the first verse. Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, chapter 59, verse 1. Shri Rajo Vacha
श्रीराजोवाच
Yata Hato Bhagavata
यथा हतो भगवता
Bhaumo Yena Chata Striyaha
भामो येन चता स्त्रिया
Niruddhayetad Achakshva
निरुद्धाय तदचक्ष्व
Vikramam Shangradhanvanaha.
विक्रमं शारङ्गधन्वना
Please.
श्रीराजोवाच
Shri Rajo Vacha
यथा हतो भगवता
Yatahato Bhagavata
भामो येन चता स्त्रिया
Bhaumo Yena Chata Striyaha
निरुद्धाय तदचक्ष्व
Niruddhayetad Achakshva
विक्रमं सारङ्गधन्वना
Vikramam Vasharangadhanvanaha. Shri Raja Uvacha.
श्रीराजोवाच
The king Parikshit said,
The king Parikshit said,
Yatha.
Yatha,
How?
how?
Yataha.
Yatha,
Hataha, sorry. Killed.
Hatha killed.
Bhagavata.
Bhagavata,
By the Supreme Lord.
by the Supreme Lord,
Bhaumaha.
Bhauma,
Narakasur.
Narkasur,
The son of Bhumi.
the son of Bhumi,
Goddess of the earth.
goddess of the earth,
Yena.
Yena,
By whom?
by whom,
Cha.
Cha,
And.
and
Taha.
Ta,
These.
these,
Striyaha.
Striya,
Women.
women,
Niruddhaha.
Niruddha,
Captured.
captured,
Etat.
Etad,
This.
this,
Achakshva.
Achakshva,
Please tell.
please tell,
Vikramam.
Vikramam,
Adventure.
adventure,
Sharanga Dhanvanaha.
Sharanga Dhanvana,
Of Lord Krishna.
of Lord Krishna,
The possessor of the bow Sharanga.
the possessor of the bow Sharanga.
Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. King Parikshit said,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. King Parikshit said, How was Bhaumasur, who kidnapped so many women, killed by the Supreme Lord? Please narrate this adventure of Lord Sharangadhanvahas. There is no purpose, so we'll cover next few translations. Shridev Goswami said, After Bhauma had stolen the earrings belonging to Indra's mother, along with Varuna's umbrella and the demigod's playground at the peak of Mandara mountain, Indra went to Lord Krishna and informed him of these misdeeds. The Lord, taking his wife Satyabhama with him, then rode on Garuda to Pragjyotishpur, which was surrounded on all sides by fortifications consisting of hills, unmanned weapons, water, fire, and wind, and by obstructions of Murapash wire. Purport. The Acharyas have explained in various plausible ways why Lord Krishna took his wife Satyabhama with him. Srila Sridhar Swami begins by saying that the Lord wanted to give his adventurous wife a novel experience and thus took her to the scene of this extraordinary battle. Also, Lord Krishna had once granted the blessing to Bhumi, the earth goddess, that he would not kill her demoniac son without her permission. Since Bhumi is an expansion of Satyabhama, the latter could authorize Krishna to do the needful with the unusually nasty Bhaumasura. Finally, Satyabhama had been miffed when Narad Muni brought a celestial Parijat flower to Queen Rukmini. To pacify Satyabhama, Lord Krishna had promised her, "I will give you a whole tree of these flowers." And thus the Lord scheduled this procurement of a heavenly tree within his itinerary. Even nowadays, devoted husbands take their wives shopping, and thus Lord Krishna took Satyabhama to the heavenly planets to get a heavenly tree, as well as to retrieve the goods Bhaumasur had stolen and return them to their rightful owners. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti notes that in the heat of battle, Queen Satyabhama would naturally become anxious for Lord Shri Krishna, safety, and pray for the battle to end. Thus, she would readily give permission to Krishna to kill the son of her expansion Bhumi. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshitarine Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tadaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So here, this chapter is narrating many beautiful pastimes of Lord Krishna and how by his one action he solves so many purposes, as we heard in the purport, as revealed by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and also Srila Sridhar Swami, that Lord Krishna, he took Satyabhama, just like a husband takes his wife for shopping. But before shopping, there is an adventure. So, Lord is carrying out his promise on all sides. He's not cheating anyone in this particular case. He had given a boon to Bhumi, the presiding deity of Earth, planet Earth, that he would not kill her son without her permission. And in other scriptures, we also find that it is said that Bhumi, the boon is given by Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu is not different from Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is the source of all Vishnus. That, she would be the cause of his death. And Bhaumasura had received this boon because he wanted to be immortal and so to not being annihilated, because he had become very powerful and not be killed by any of the demigods or any other personality. He wanted to ensure that he does not get old and he does not get killed. So there are many incredible incidents that we get to hear in this pastime of Lord Krishna. So is Lord Krishna taking his army with him? No. He is just getting onto the Varun, his Vahan, Garun Dev, and he is also carrying his queen Satyabhama. So she is his third queen, as we heard. First queen is Rukmini Devi, very, submissive by nature, always pleased by whatever Lord Krishna does. So we also heard that how she is an expansion of Chandravali, who is an expansion of Radharani. And this expansion of Chandravali in Aishwarya Bhav, and yet in a very submissive mood. Second one is Jambavati, who is daughter of Jambuvan, And so she's been, given in charity by her father, also very submissive and very loving, wife. And then Satyabhama, daughter of Satrajit, who is direct expression of Radharani in Aishwarya Bhav. And it is shown that Satyabhama is very proud and is very adventurous by nature. She is also at times addressed as head of the queens. So she is head, but those queens are not there yet. So everyone, just like, again, when we hear this pastime and we talk about how Dwarka is above, the Vaikuntha's, sometimes people even say, how is that possible? So before we dive into this, it's very interesting to hear the glories of Dwarka and how it is even above the Vaikuntha planets. And above Dwarka is Vrindavan, and the topmost is Golok Vrindavan. So it is in the very world of those lotuses, which are represented by the gopis. So the petals are represented by the gopis. So it just happens that once upon a time, there used to be a king. So this is more than 10,000 years before Lord Krishna's appearance. A king by the name Sharyati, he was ruling the whole planet Earth for 10,000 years following religious principles. And he had 3 sons, Anartha and Uttanbara and Buhish Sena. So again, these 3 sons were very obedient sons, and they are very wise and intelligent sons. So Sharyati became very proud, and he wanted to also impart, part of his property, as inheritance to his sons. So he wanted to pass on. So he gives the west part to Anartha, he gives the east part to Uttanbari, and then Burishena gets the southern part. And now, in this, as he is dividing this property of planet Earth, among his 3 sons, he says very proudly, "Oh, my dear sons, you should all, follow and with your prowess rule this planet Earth. You will get to rule just like I have ruled, and I'm the master of this planet Earth." So, in a very proud tone, he said that he is all in all, and he is the master of this planet Earth, and he's the ruler, and he is the one who's providing everything to all the living entities on this planet Earth. So at that time, the wise son Anartha, he laughed, and he responded that, "My dear father, you are not the supreme proprietor. Lord Krishna is the supreme proprietor. You are not maintaining this planet Earth. Lord Krishna is maintaining this planet Earth. Actually, he is maintaining." So we see about Atra Sarga Visargascha. So Visarga is the secondary creation. Primary creation is Sarga, where in Mahavishnu's form, all the universes comes out of his, from his pores and his breathing. And then, Mahavishnu expands further as Garbhodakshai Vishnu, where from there comes Brahma and Shiva. So that's the secondary creation, where Lord Brahma creates in each universe. There is one Brahma who creates, the secondary creation, provided all the elements, the ingredients are there, earth, water, fire, air, ether, and the subtle elements and so forth. So he creates, and then Lord Vishnu maintains, and then Lord Shiva annihilates. So that's within the secondary creation within each universe. This is happening. In every day of Lord Brahma, at the end of the day, when Lord Brahma goes to sleep, Lord Shiva, he annihilates everything in our universe as well, just like that. So there are 3 levels of destructions happening. The second level happens when Lord Brahma dies after 100 years. And then the third happens again. So again, those are different descriptions. But staying on this particular topic, when Anartha, he's saying that, he's very wise, and he's saying that, "My dear father, it is Lord Vishnu who maintains. You are his representative, and you just carry out your duties. So we are following religious principles, and even those religious principles are provided to you by Lord Krishna. So everything that you have, all that property you have, is actually not yours. And you cannot renounce anything that's not yours. And you cannot even distribute anything that's not yours." And even though the statements were true, Sharyati was hurt by these words because he did not expect Anartha, who was the wisest of his sons, to give such a strong response to him. So then he actually derides Sharyati from having any of his kingdom. He says that if you think that Lord Krishna is all in all, then you will not have any place in my kingdom. And Sharyati is, saying in this manner. So hearing his father's words, Anartha agrees and he says, yes, I'm ready to be banished from your kingdom. Now Sharyati is thinking, where will he go? All the land is mine, so he can't go anywhere. Well, Anartha very submissively, pays obeisances to his father and he leaves. And now he has taken this vow that he will not take shelter of any of the land that his father owns. So he enters the ocean. And in the ocean, he performs austerity for 10,000 years. So you can already get the hint that this is during the time of meditation, right? Satyuga, as Treta Yuga is approaching. So, after 10,000 years of meditation, Lord Vishnu appears to him and he says, ask for a boon. And then Anartha is praying that, oh my dear Lord, you are the most merciful personality, you are the supreme personality of Godhead. And I have basically taken this vow that I will not reside in any place that my father, rules or my brother rules, they rule. So, and you even provided a celestial planet to Dhruv Maharaj that never, vanishes. Even when the universe, all of the planets are annihilated in this universe, even then Dhruv planet is intact. Even when Brahmalok vanishes and Lord Brahma goes to sleep on the lotus flower, in the lotus flower the bud closes. Even at that time, Dhruv planet stays. And you on the Shvetadip as Shirodakshai Vishnu is there. So please provide me similar facility. Now Lord Vishnu says that, my dear King Anartha, I cannot create another earth for you. So he can create, but he's saying he doesn't want to. Rather, I will give you even better boon. I will give you a part of the Vaikuntha Loka. So that's 800 mile, circumference-based area in the ocean. And so Lord Vishnu gives him this land in the ocean. So, about 30-40 miles west of Gujarat, in the ocean, this land is given. Now, Anartha has, he becomes a king and this place becomes very opulent and he's ruling very nicely. And he has a son, Revata. And King Revata is also a magnanimous king. He is munificent, he's very liberal, and he's very much father-like to his citizens. And he is so powerful that he actually picks up a whole mountain and brings it on this Anartha. So somebody could say, how could somebody bring this mountain and lift the mountain and come? So in the Puranas there is an elaborate story as how there happens to be, back in the times of Satyuga, the mountains, they also actually have life. That's why they keep growing in size, just like us, our conditioned body. So the mountains used to fly back in the time, and because they performed many sins, they lost their capability to fly. So that's given in Puranas. So let's stay with the Puranas. I know understanding this inconceivable aspect could be something very amazing to you. So it just so happened that one of the mountain had offended, and at that time Revata, lifted that mountain, and the mountain was surprised. So he said, wherever you want to place me, place me. So he places it in Anartha. So King Anartha, the island that he gets is also called Anartha, just like Bharat Maharaj's, he was the ruler of the planet Earth, so the whole planet was known by the name Bharat. Sometimes people say only in the India region is known as Bharat. No, it was the whole planet. All the lands were called Bharat. Anyway, so here, this land is also called Anartha. So it is said that Revata, he had a daughter, Revati. and he wanted to find the right groom for his daughter. So we covered this story at length in the past, as how he took his daughter to Brahmaloka to ask Lord Brahma to invite him, yet at the same time ask him who's the right groom. And Lord Brahma at that time, when Revata and Revati, they were waiting, King Revata and Princess Revati were waiting for Lord Brahma to give them his audience. At that time, Lord Brahma reveals to them that, oh, Anartha, many generations has passed ever since you have come over here. So in Brahmaloka, the time is relative. So time is, magnified. So even 1 second of there is hundreds of thousands of seconds on planet Earth. So here, and then Lord Brahma says that you should immediately go back and you will be able to marry your daughter Revati to Lord Balaram, Lord Sankarshan. So Revata, he brings back and he marries his daughter to Lord Balaram. So this land that was given by the name, known by the name Anartha, becomes Dwarka, because after all these many descendants and many kings had come and gone, it had become barren, and then Lord, employs Vishwakarma to create a beautiful city, the city of Dwarka. So the whole fort is created and so forth. So that's how Dwarka came into being, and this was part of Vaikuntha Loka, even higher, because in Vaikuntha Loka there is only one Lakshmi with Lord Vishnu. But here, Lord Krishna, as we heard in the previous chapters and the Samantika jewel story and the Rukmini's kidnap, he already has 8 queens. So the 8 goddesses of Lakshmi, they are already there. So that's also another reason given by Sridhar Swami, Srila Sridhar Swami, that this is higher, at a higher level he has. And then comes the story of Bhaumasura. So Bhaumasura, Bhauma means son of Bhumi, has this boon that he can only be killed by Bhumi or by her, approval. And Bhumi is an expansion of Satyabhama, who is an expansion of Radharani. So Lord Krishna takes Satyabhama with him. He goes over to Jyotisha, Prag Jyotishpur, which is the capital of Narakasur. And there, this capital is protected by different layers. So again, different shields. Today, as we say, there are defense shields. So you can imagine all these, science fiction stuff that we see people are talking about. They're talking of different shields. Where did they get the idea? These are the first set of shields that Narakasura set on his, around his kingdom. And Lord, he uses Kaumudaki Gada, his mace, to destroy the first shield. So again, there are various types of shields being identified. And it's being said there are shields because of the hills, because of even the unmanned weapons, automatic radar system. The most advanced radar system was already installed back in those days, as Narakasura had protected his city. And there was also a Mura Pash. So again, wires that was installed by Mura demon himself. He had installed very strong. So again, Lord Krishna with his Gada, he breaks the first set of shields. The first defense line is down. Comes to the next one with his 2 arrows from his Shanga bow. He shoots and he destroys that shield. And so Lord is continuing to destroy one shield after another. And as soon as he destroys the Mura shield, the wires, Mura demon, he was at the bottom. And at that time, after having destroyed the shield, now that the enemy is right in front, there is no more shield in front of Lord Krishna, he blows his conch, right? Panchajanya. And when Panchajanya conch is blown, it is known to bring joy in the hearts of devotees and cause terror in the hearts of demons. So Mura demon, who was a 5-headed demon who was lying under the city, he is awakened hearing this. And he comes up and he is glowing like fire. So he has 5 heads. So you can imagine this gigantic demon who is with 5 heads is coming, and first he sees Lord Krishna with Satyabhama and on top of Garud. So he shoots his trident. But his trident is not aimed at Lord Krishna. His trident is aimed at Garud Dev. So Garud, the bird, the carrier of Lord Vishnu, he sees this Trishul coming and he's simply bowing his hand. There is no need for a devotee to become anxious when we become even bewildered or uncertain. We just take shelter of his lotus feet. So Lord Krishna immediately breaks that trident with 2 arrows into pieces. And seeing this, Mura demon, he is very angry and throws his mace. And Lord destroys that mace into pieces with his mace, Kaumudaki, Gada. And so Mura demon, he is, spitting fire and, throwing all the weapons, and Lord Krishna is destroying all the weapons. And then finally he invokes his Sudarshan Chakra and cuts off all the 5 heads of Mura demon. Now, having seen that he is dead, as soon as Narkasur receives this news that Lord Krishna has come and he has killed Mura demon, he incites the 7 sons of Mura demon under his general, and they all go and they are fighting with Lord Krishna. So they want to avenge their father's death, right? And all the 7 sons, their name has been given and so forth, but we, because we have a lot of stories to cover and limited time. So again, it's very interesting that Lord kills all of them. With his bow, he's killing all the 7 sons, and even the general is dead. And seeing this, Narkasur comes out. And when he comes out, he starts fighting with Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna is on Garud, up in the sky, and Narkasur or Bhaumasur, he is fighting, from his city. And as the fight ensues, and he is throwing various kind of weapons at Lord Krishna, many divine weapons have been named. And as he is throwing these divine weapons, Lord Krishna is nullifying them, causing them to be ineffective. However, Acharyas explained very nicely that a sweet thing happens, that Lord Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even Satyabhama knows that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, shows a sign to Satyabhama as if Narkasur is going to win. So Satyabhama, seeing so many weapons being thrown by Narkasur, she says, "Kill him immediately." And the moment she says, "Kill him immediately," Lord invokes his Sudarshan and kills him. So, and there are a couple of places we have also seen that Lord had the bow and arrow already set, and Satyabhama holds it and throws it, like stretches it further. So there are 2 descriptions given. One says, Lord throws his Sudarshan and kills Bhaumasur. Another one says that Satyabhama held his hand back, and then released the arrow which pierced the heart of Bhaumasur and killed him. So there, in essence, Bhaumasur is dead, right? And what had he done? He had picked up all the celestial beings and all that was precious to others from various planets. So there has been said that he had 16,100 princesses they were taken. Well, some of them were princesses of various kings who were on earth. Some of them were princesses, who were daughters of demigods. And even of Gandharva Loka, Siddha Loka, so many other celestial planets, so they were there. So Lord Krishna, he goes with his Sharanga bow and he's marching into the capital. But before he marches into the capital, a very interesting thing happens. Goddess Bhumi, the presiding deity of planet Earth, she appears to Lord Krishna. And she is praying to Lord Krishna, and she's identifying, in her prayer, some amazing realities that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is time himself, and how he is cause of all causes. He is the one who gave the bone, but when that son of hers became a sore personality, an asura, a demon, then he also relieved her of that, weight. So she had asked, yes. Yes. Narkasur is son of Bhumi Devi. That's why his another name is Bhaumasur. Asur means demon, Bhauma means son of Bhumi. So, Narkasur has been killed. Now sometimes this is perplexing to people. because Bhumi Devi in the very first chapter of 10th canto had approached Lord Brahma to relieve her of the burden, right? And a son was not a burden to a mother ever. Yet at the same time, Lord had promised that he will relieve her of all her burden. Yet at the same time, and she was referring to all the other kings who were demoniac, while her own son was demoniac by nature. So she thought that, when Lord is relieving, he's relieving the burden by another, because as a mother, she doesn't feel the burden of her son. But everyone else is feeling the burden of her son. Like Indradev is feeling, because Narakasur was just, in his kingdom, from his palace, he was looking out, and what does he see? He sees that something is shining at a great distance. And he says, what's that shining object? And he sees those are the beautiful earrings, the ornamented earrings of Aditi, mother of King Indra, king of the demigods. So he goes and snatches away those earrings of Aditi's. He sees that Varun Dev has this nice umbrella, even when it's raining outside, this umbrella gives very nice nectarian, sparkling mist. And it is very soothing, it's very enlivening. And it's, anyone who keeps that umbrella on top of them, they are always feeling energized and jubilant and very happy. And they're constantly seeking to, they appear very happy. So in that mood, he is thinking, oh, here's that umbrella, let me get that umbrella. Even from Varudev, who is a very powerful demigod, he snatches away that umbrella. Now, imagine if you have a great stadium and somebody goes and just picks up that stadium and says, I want to have it in my city. So Narakasur does that to the demigods. Demigods have this great, a sporting ground. So when there is a sporting ground, you of course need spectators. So you can imagine, we have stadiums, there's, sometimes we are very proud, like they can seat 1 million people, 50,000 people and so forth. And these are the demigods. When they are sporting and they are holding those events, not just their residents of various heavenly planets would come, but also from Siddhaloka, Gandharva Loka, Apsaras, all of them would come to rejoice. And you can imagine what level of sports they would be having, because all of them have so many siddhis. They would be showing the prowess of their siddhis in each of the sport. And so an amazing celestial complex, a sport complex, and Narakasur just likes it, and he picks it up, and he says, I would like to have it in my, kingdom. And then he decides to pick up the beautiful princesses of various kings. So 16,100 princesses he has abducted. He has even taken away the career of Indra, Aravat. And those Aravat, has many descendants. So they're all living, all these four-tusked animals, elephants, they are living in his kingdom. And he has all this treasure from various different kings, even from demigods. He has picked up all these. And all these heavenly treasures he's keeping in his kingdom. And Bhumi is revealing that actually no one is the proprietor, but Lord Krishna is the supreme proprietor. And she is, praying to God that this is His mercy that He did what He did, because Lord, whatever He does for our benefit. Sometimes it appears to our mind, and especially, we have been having some interesting conversations with some of the doctors in the medical field. And sometimes they have this misconception that they are God themselves, because they feel that what God did not do, they did it, right? And when this feeling comes, you become an atheistic and sometimes even antagonistic towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is a great offense. And this is a case of Maya or Pradgyana, where the intelligence has been taken away by material energy. And so they cannot understand that whatever a living entity experiences through various births and deaths, all these experiences are because of our own karmas. It has nothing to do with Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is only sitting in our heart as overseer and permitter. And He is so merciful that He appears as Srimad Bhagavatam in this age. He appears in His holy name, and He appears in Archavigraha form. In three forms Lord appears. And He is present everywhere. He is residing in every living entity's heart. Bhoktaram yagatapasam sarvalok maheshwaram surhidam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. So they are very much disturbed. So the first step is for us to help them understand that be peaceful and understand the incredible and inconceivable potencies of Lord Shri Krishna. Bhoktaram yagatapasam. So He is the beneficiary of all sacrifices. Sarvalok Maheshwaram, right? And He is the supreme proprietor of all material and spiritual universes. Surhidam Sarva Bhutanam, and He is the well-wisher and benefactor of all living entities. One who understands these three important factors attains peace. So again, this is the mood. A devotee understands that first to be happy, you have to first be peaceful, be calm. And then once you are peaceful, then you can come to the next level, which is Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Na Shochati Na Kankshati Samah Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. So Brahma Bhuta stage, right? At Brahman stage 1 is in transcendental bliss. Is Prasannatma, is constantly enjoying, and he is feeling happy, and he is feeling the bliss of the Lord. He is joyful. So, Prasannatma. So the soul is prasanna, is happy, is always smiling. Na shochati na kankshati. So does not lament about the past and does not aspire which is in the future. Right? And these are the two reasons why somebody can become anxious. Anxiety has two reasons basically. Something that you want to achieve in the past you could not achieve, so you're lamenting for that. You wanted a promotion, you didn't get promotion, your competitor got promotion. Okay, you're lamenting that he was not qualified, I'm the most qualified. Well, apparently it's the karma cycle that's coming along. And you're aspiring for something in the future, so you're aiming for something and hoping that that would come, which can cause further lamentation. So this is also anxiety. And in COVID-19, everyone's thinking, how can we stay stable? And how can we stay happy? And how can we be at peace? So understand that simple formulas have been given. We have to understand the philosophy with the right mindset under the shelter of a spiritual master, so we can start practicing this. And this lesson is full of bliss. And one of the blessings, actually two amazing blessings that come in this. That one is freed of the sins. So again, previous lesson we heard, it was talking about the sinful reactions. So if you performed any sin, then it drives away the sinful reaction. But this one is a bigger boon. How? Because the propensity to commit sin goes away. So when we hear this chapter, understand the inconceivable, incredible potencies of Lord Shri Krishna, the innumerable potencies of Lord Shri Krishna, then we realize that even the propensity of committing sin goes away, because we become more surrendered and we become more attentive when we are chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And we become more surrendered, at the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. So when Bhumi Devi, she is praying to Lord Shri Krishna, then she asks for she has another request. She asks for the blessing that currently the son of Bhaumasur, her grandson, right? Her son was Bhaumasur, and Bhaumasur's son, her grandson, is in frightened state right now. So if Lord could bless him and grant him life, fearlessness, then it would be a great blessing. And Lord Krishna at that time blesses the grandson. And the grandson understands that Anukulena Krishna Anushilinam. So he has to carry out his duties as the king of this kingdom of his father in the way Lord Krishna desires. So he becomes righteous and he rules that land very nicely. Well, Lord Krishna, after having blessed the grandson, he enters the palatial buildings where Narakasura had kept all these treasures. And it so happens that when he enters with his Sharanga bow, the 16,100 princesses, as soon as they see Lord Shri Krishna, they become attracted to him. and they desire for Lord to be their husbands. So previously we heard as how Shobhari Muni, he had changed his form to a very attractive young person that even the Apsaras, even the women in the heavenly planets would desire him, and the daughters, the 50 princesses, the daughters of King Mandhata, when they saw him, they were fighting with each other. And they wanted him to be their husband. Well, Lord is all attractive. He is Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham. So he is more beautiful than a crore Kandarpas, Cupids, Kamdev. So you can imagine his beauty is so attractive. So Lord's eyes are like lotus petals. He has this bluish complexion, the 3 marks on his stomach, raised eyebrows, he's got raised nose, beautiful pleasing smile, reddish eyes which are constantly looking, here and there, and this smile itself is enough to steal away our heart. And so Lord Krishna, when he enters the palaces, and these princesses, they see Lord Shri Krishna, they desire so, and Lord grants them their wish. However, the marriage is performed back in Dwarka, so hold on. And then Lord Shri Krishna, he still has part of his adventure. So he retrieves all these treasures and the property of others that Narakasura had taken, and he brings it back. So Varundev gets his umbrella back, demigods get their sport complex, right, back that they place on top of Mandara mountain and continue to have this aspiring sports going on. And he brings the earrings of Aditi. So with Satyabhama on Garur, Lord Krishna leaves for heavenly planet, and there he delivers the earrings of Aditi to her. And seeing that, Indra sees, and his wife Shachi, she's also, they are pleased, the husband and wife, they are pleased that Lord Krishna retrieves back the earrings of Mother Aditi. So they worship Lord Shri Krishna. Now there's something interesting happens. So they are worshipping Lord Shri Krishna. Shachi Devi, she has a parijat flower in her hair, nicely, beautifully decorated, and they are worshipping Lord Shri Krishna, but they are not paying attention to Satyabhama. And Satyabhama is looking at that parijat flower, and not a single parijat flower has been given to Satyabhama. And Satyabhama had this attachment to parijat flowers because of an early incident. When Devashi Narad, he was coming back, after visiting Indra, he was coming to Dwarka, he got one parijat flower, and then when he came to Dwarka, he gave it to Rukmini Devi. And now Rukmini Devi got this parijat flower as a blessing, right, from a sage. A sage is giving as a blessing, so she takes it, she puts it on, and Satyabhama always wanted the best of everything, right? So when she sees that Rukmini got parijat flower, and no parijat flower has been delivered to her, so she takes it as a great insult. She is feeling hurt, and so she approaches and serves Lord Krishna so nicely that Lord Krishna grants her this boon that I'll get the whole tree of these parijat flowers. And there is only one tree, right? And this tree appeared during Samudra Manthan, the churning of the ocean. And that churning of the ocean happened because Bali Maharaj and all the asuras, the demons, had become very powerful, and they had become and taken away everything from Indra and the other demigods. So these demigods had approached Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma had approached Lord Vishnu to ask, how can they regain their kingdom? And Lord Vishnu had given the suggestion that they should approach Bali Maharaj and the demons and join forces to get nectar. And once you get nectar, Amrit, then you won't die. So that's the boon. So this is why the churning of the ocean happened. So here, Parijat tree had come up during the churning of the ocean, just like Bhurishava, the horse came out, Airavat came out, and also Goddess Lakshmi came out. And at the end, Dhanvantari, holding this pot of nectar, came out. However, with Mohini Avatar, Lord distributed it only to the demigods, and demons did not get it except for one. We know him as Rahu, uncle of Bali Maharaj. So here, Satyabhama and Lord Krishna, they go out for wandering in the gardens, this Devalok, the heavenly gardens. And there she sees these parijat flowers and reminds Krishna of his promise. So Lord Krishna picks up this parijat tree, the whole tree, as it, puts it on Garud, sits on Garud, and Satyabhama sits with him, and they are about to return. As soon as Shachi Devi sees that the parijat tree is being taken away, she immediately incites Indra to go and stop Lord Krishna. So Indra, who did not have the power to fight with Narakasur, and Krishna, who has just defeated Narakasur and gave benediction to Indra by returning this earring, so he had satisfied Indra, is now, because of his pride, so even as a demigod and king of the demigods, sometimes the pride may come in. So Srila Prabhupada used to say, a pauper is proud of his penny. So we all have something, and sometimes we unknowingly become proud for no reason. Well, that is not the mood, because it's one of the anarthas, an unwanted thing that restricts the growth of a devotional tree, the creeper of devotion, Bhakti Lata. So this is like, the weeds that grow around. And so we need to make sure that the soil of our heart is nicely taken care of and no weed grows. So we have to make constant endeavor to not let pride sink in. And so here is an example that when pride sinks in, what can happen? Lord Indra, whose pride was previously subdued by Lord Krishna when he was just 7 years old, when he held Govardhan hill for 7 days, 7 nights, and Indra realized that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when his mother's earrings were taken away by Narakasur, he went to Dwarka, paid obeisances to Lord Krishna, and requested him to find a solution, to return those earrings back to his mother. Lord Krishna brought those earrings. Yet Indra and Shachi Devi, they only worshipped Lord Krishna and ignored his consort Satyabhama, who had come with him. And now Lord Krishna has taken this parijat flower, so with all the demigods, Indradev, he is coming to fight with Lord Krishna, and he challenges Lord Krishna. So this is, sometime in pride, people can do abominable acts. This has been said. People become foolish at times. They think that they can do what cannot be done. And Lord, his incredible potencies, there is no way he is going to go against the will. There is a common saying, Rakhe Krishna mare Krishna rakhe ke. If Lord Krishna wants to save someone, then who can kill him? And if Lord Krishna wants to kill someone, then who can save him? So here Indradev is fighting with the demigods. With Sharanga bow, Lord Krishna had scared away all the demigods. So Indradev, as a last resort, and to satisfy his wife Shachi Devi, he throws Vajra, the thunderbolt, at Lord Krishna to attack him. Lord Krishna simply catches it. Everything belongs to Lord Krishna, so he simply catches it. And now Indradev is now running, literally, like, oh, now it's his weapon, and he's going to kill me. In fear, so Satyabhama starts laughing. So it's given in Padma Purana elaborately as how Satyabhama starts laughing, and Lord Krishna says, take this back, And she's saying that, take the Vajra, your thunderbolt back, as well as the tree back. We don't want the tree. So now he is feeling ashamed. His pride is completely crashed, completely subdued. And he is asking for forgiveness, that it was because Shachi Devi had asked me. So sometimes wife asks, husband follows. But sometimes it's important to use intelligence and make sure that the wife understands what is right and what is wrong. And here he says that, O Lord, please take this parijat flowers, and when you would leave, please allow it to come back. So parijat flower, parijat tree, the whole tree of flowers, parijat tree is gifted now by Indradev. And also Yadu's got one assembly hall from demigods. And this assembly hall was actually made by Vishwakarma for the demigods. One of the characteristics of this assembly hall was that no one would feel infidelity, tiredness, those 6 symptoms of bodily of weakness that we experience because of disease, because of old age, because of tiredness and so forth. None of those symptoms will be experienced when you are in this assembly hall.
So that is the assembly hall of Yadus, Yadavas in Dwarka. And here Lord Krishna, accepts it smilingly. It all belongs to him, so he's accepting what is his. Yet at the same time, he's also accepting because Indra is giving now in a humble mood, realizing that Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Satyabhama is happy to get this parijat tree, right beside her palace. Now, 16,100 princesses, they have been brought to Dwarka. Now, the incredible, inconceivable potency of the Lord is visible here. That he expands into 16,100 Krishnas, right? While he is also present as 8 Krishnas with each of his 8 queens that we already discussed in the last chapter. And all these Krishnas with princesses individually are getting married in individual temple. And the inconceivable potency is, as a living entity, we can only expand up to 9, right? Expansions. Lord Krishna, by his inconceivable potencies, allows all his relatives to be present in each of the temples where 16,108. So, even though living entity may not have ability to expand beyond 9, but Lord has this ability to expand his living entities to as many forms as he wants. So Srila Sridhar Swami reveals this near the last verse, where he is saying in verse 42 that not just he expanded, but his relatives also expanded. Vasudev, his father, Mother Devaki, they expanded into 16,100 forms to be able to participate in all these marriage ceremonies. So there was no, tussle. Which ceremony do we attend? They were present, all the relatives. King Sursen, Ugrasen, all of them were present in all the ceremonies. And how can we forget Uddhava, right? A great devotee of Lord. So all of them expanded into 16,100 forms and they participated in the marriage. However, after the marriages were over, they came back as one. But Lord Krishna stayed with an expanded form with each queen in each of the palaces. His palaces. So now there are 16,108 queens of Lord Shri Krishna, his wives. And even though they have hundreds of servants, this is where the glories come. That these princesses who are now the queens of Lord Shri Krishna, they wanted to serve Lord Krishna by their own hand. Right? The funny thing is, in today's time, when somebody becomes opulent, then they employ various people to do service to the deities. Like we saw about Satrajit. He had Samantika jewel, and instead of worshipping Vishnu Murti, first he put Samantika jewel in the in his temple, in his home, in his palace. That was provided by Lord Shri Krishna. And then whatever Samantika jewel was giving, the 8 bharas, about 170 pounds of gold every day, he was getting it. But for worship, he has put qualified brahmanas to worship the Samantika jewel. So, again, that's why it is said that they are less intelligent, demigod worshipper, because they are seeking of taking things. While the mood of these queens, their mood is to give pleasure to Lord Shri Krishna. So they are serving Lord Shri Krishna. And Lord Shri Krishna is residing with them individually. As if, he is a common human being who's living with his wife. And they are, making sure that Lord Shri Krishna is nicely taken care of. When he comes home, his feet, they are washed, he is worshipped. They're giving bath to Lord Shri Krishna. They are dressing Lord Shri Krishna. They are, cooking meal for Lord Shri Krishna. They are serving Lord Shri Krishna. When he is going to sleep, they are pressing his feet. So they are performing at a much, much higher level than the goddess of fortune in Vaikuntha planet. So you can imagine how much pleasure Lord is receiving by being served by 16,108 queens in Dwarka compared to one Lord Vishnu, one expansion of Lord Shri Krishna, with just one Lakshmi in each of the Vaikuntha planets, and where he is being served by many other devotees. But here queens are personally serving him. And personal service always is more jubilant because there is loving exchange happening between a husband and wife. So these are the incredible and inconceivable potencies of Lord Shri Krishna. And now whoever hears about the stories of 16,108 queens of Lord Shri Krishna, how they got married to Lord Shri Krishna, gets two amazing blessings. First blessing is the propensity to commit sins goes away, because we realize that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then the second one is that we get an extended span of life. So our lifespan increases. Yet there is also a subtle third blessing in there, where when we engage in devotional service, while with the rising of sun and setting of sun, people who are conditioned and not engaged in Lord's devotional service, they are aging. A devotee can stay eternally youthful just by engaging in devotional service. So that's also something being implied here in this particular blessing, the second blessing, where you just don't get important lifespan. Because what do you call life? With the birth, a new set of reactions have to finish, and as one becomes old, so dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantar praptir dhiras tatranam huyati. Lord Krishna's his first instruction to, initial set of instructions to Arjuna in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he's talking about dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara. So just like a man passes, a living entity passes from a body of a boy to youth to old age, similarly the soul passes at death to another body. So Srila Prabhupada says that we have a change of body. It is not that our body is just transforming, we get a new body. So a body of a boy to a body of a youthful body is different. So the activities of a youth are much different than an activity of a small boy, a toddler. And an activity of a young man, and even a middle-aged man is different than the activity of a youthful person. And an activity of an old person is very different. So even death comes in various phases. In old men's case, they are not able to see, so their eyesight is gone. So now that body that they have received, and also scientists have, after a lot of research, say that our body completely changes in 7 years. Every cell is new. So our body is constantly changing, and as we are changing, different capabilities come. But if we engage in devotional service, our capabilities continue to stay, energized with respect to devotional service. And when we say with respect to devotional service, we have to also understand dhiras tatra namuyati, that a person who is dhira, a person who is intelligence, he is not bewildered. So the change of body is not how we get associated, when we associate with. Rather, we associate with our constitutional position. Jivera Sarupoya Krishnera Nityadas. So as living entities, we understand that we are the eternal servant of Lord Shri Krishna, and we serve him anukulena Krishna anushilanam. The way Lord Krishna wants, and anushilanam is by following the instructions of the acharyas, by following the footsteps of the acharyas, the spiritual masters. So we follow the instructions of our spiritual master. By following that, we are able to continue to be on our spiritual journey to go back home, back to Godhead. And today, earlier in Srimad Bhagavatam class, we were talking about how when we are engaging in service of the Lord, a devotee has the mood of like Prahlad Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So all of them are just expressing one mood, that I don't care where you send me, but always keep me at your lotus feet, that I always engage in devotional service. And I'm more worried about the other living entities who are foolishly being conditioned, spoiling their human form of life. Rather, I want you to bless them so that they go back home, back to Godhead. That's why Srila Prabhupada, he came to West on the instruction of his Guru Maharaj, also known as Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada, his instructions, who is son of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is Shiksha Guru of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, and his disciple is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So again, a father also happens to be a grand guru here. because he did not, Bhaktivinoda Thakur did not give direct initiation to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He said, no, you become a disciple of my disciple. And Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was an illiterate, while Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was like multiple PhDs. He was a highly qualified literate person. So even there, the Acharyas are showing us that they don't want, even in their disciples or grand disciples, any tinge of pride to come in, because it's an anartha, it's a weed that can take away the water, that can take away all the nutrients from the Bhakti Lata Bij. So the creeper of devotional service, from that plant of devotional service, which can delay our proper fructification of our devotion, and the fruits and flowers may take some time. Rather, they want us to keep our heart constantly ready. And how do you keep it ready? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals that. Of course, he also reveals the same mood as the spiritual masters, as we discussed, that please always keep me engaged in your devotional service. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Shishashtaka, the third verse, he gives us this formula. Tranadapi shunichena tarurapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. To be always more humble than the grass and more tolerant than the tree. And always ready to give respects to all others without having an expectation of being regarded by others, in a respectful manner. If one continues to chant the holy name of the Lord, then we can chant for eternity. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. This is where this chapter ends. Please join us for Narasimhadev prayers.
भागवतम की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, भक्त विघ्ननाशी नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय, प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा।